President Biden's approval with independent voters took a nosedive in year one, dropping almost 30 points since February, down to 33% in a Gallup survey out this week. We decided to check in with some of those voters as we head into 2022, which is, of course, a midterm election year. Amikka Burl is a business consultant from Detroit. Gary Sheng is a civic entrepreneur from New York City. And Brooke Corbett is a working mom in Fairfax County, Virginia. All are registered independent voters. Great to have all of you with us today. I want to start with a quick soundbite from yesterday's news conference, and we'll start there with your reaction. Watch this.
Did you overpromise to the American public what you could achieve in your first year in office? And how do you plan to course correct going forward?
Why are you such an optimist? Look, I didn't overpromise, but I have probably outperformed what anybody thought would happen. I didn't overpromise, but I think if you take a look at what we've been able to do, you'd have to acknowledge we made enormous progress.
All right, Brooke, let me start with you on the right-hand side of the screen. What's your reaction to that?
Hi. I mean, one item that comes to mind right away that was an overpromise. He campaigned on stopping the pandemic and stopping COVID in its tracks. And as recently as early January, he had to switch gears because the repeated strategies that were being implemented, I think they finally realized need to be relegated to the state level.
Amikka, you know, when you look at those numbers, the big drop, 30% drop with independent voters, what do you attribute that to? Why do you think that is? Why is he losing so many in the group, the voter group that you're part of, do you think?
I think mostly because in regards to overpromising, I think that some of the things that he mentioned that he was going to do on the campaign trail, he did not do. And so you have a lot of independents that's waiting for that to come into fruition, you know, specifically the education situation dealing with student loans. He said he was going to make sure that he canceled $10,000 worth of student loan debt for everyone who has student loan debt. That has yet to come into fruition. And so that's something that a lot of Americans are very, very concerned about. I know yesterday with the news conference, it was actually the question was asked at the very end of the news conference about it, and he did not answer the question at all. And so I think that's a huge concern.
Gary, what do you think? You know, do you feel more, or obviously when you do a big news conference like this, you're trying to sort of move the needle a little bit. When you watch him up there, do you feel more or less confident about him as president?
Hey, Martha, it's really good to be here. I think the answer is pretty clear. Overpromising is the name of the game for this administration, and it's why there's been a steep drop in confidence by independents. I think the theme has been, even though Biden ran as an antidote to the Trump administration, the American people have further lost faith in our governmental institutions and democratic institutions based on actions from the Biden administration. I mean, when you appoint people like Anthony Fauci, who has been caught in lies again and again, then you have the CDC that has issued guidance, retracted the retraction. You even have people at MSNBC talking about how this has been a disaster. So overall, I had pretty high hopes actually for the Biden administration, and I feel sad because I feel like they have failed to be good stewards of our fragile democracy.
Okay, let's play one more soundbite about the polls. This is a quick one.
How do you plan to win back moderates and independents who cast a ballot for you in 2020, but polls indicate aren't happy with the way you're doing your job now?
I don't believe the polls.
Amikka, when you look at those numbers, do you think that the president should take the poll numbers seriously? Are they sending him a message or not? Do you not believe the polls?
No, I absolutely believe the polls. I think the polls are important. That's basically how you find out what's going on here in America. I mean, the polls are actually showing that independents are registered. 50% of people in this country are registered as independents. And why is that? Because our political landscape is changing. People realize that our system is broken. And so we need to do something to make sure that we're working towards making our democracy back a democracy.
So I'm going to ask each of you to answer this question. What words would you use, a couple of words, to describe the President Biden at this point? What words come to your mind when I say to you, what do you think of President Biden? And let me start with you, Brooke.
Well, in relation to the previous question, the first words that come up are dismissive and danger. Don't discount and do not dismiss your constituents. I live in a state where we had a very contested governor's race, and I see the results with I live in a very blue state that went red with the governor, Governor Youngkin. And I think for many of the same reasons that I saw in the press conference last night, the current administration is not listening, they're not hearing, they're not transparent with their messages. The flip-flopping of the messages is not helping matters. And to top it off, when you dismiss your constituents, it's a recipe for potential failure.
Okay, just a couple of words if you can, because I want to squeeze in one more question here. Gary, what couple of words come to mind when I say President Joe Biden?
I'll be quick. Uninspiring and disappointing.
Amikka?
I would say diligent and concerning, actually.
Okay. And let me go back, starting with Amikka. Do you want President Joe Biden to run for president again in 2024, Amikka?
You know, to be quite honest, you know, we all know we cannot dispute that we are in crisis right now here in this country. And I think the question is basically more so on not necessarily if he's going to run in 2024, because I don't even know if I'm going to vote for him. But what I would say is that we need to fix our political system. It's broken, and the American people know that it's broken. And so something needs to change. And so I think that that's why the independent voice is so important. We're not in the middle. We're not leaners. We're right in front. And we're making decisions.
Gary, do you want the president to run again in 2024?
So I'm not one of his political advisors, but I'll say two things. Number one, he would restore a lot of confidence in the independent vote if he focused on nonpartisan electoral and government reform. The government's a mess. It doesn't inspire confidence in the American people. Ranked choice voting, open primaries would do a lot. I've been working on that for many years. The second thing is one of the things I do commend about the Biden administration is the appointment of Lina Khan to the FTC chair. I think the Biden administration's work on antitrust has been a standout example of something that they can do, and also the recent November appointment of Jonathan Cantor to the DOJ. Those two are a dangerous combo, and also antitrust is a unifying issue for the American people.
All right. You know what? Thank you so much. And I hope you all come back, because I'd love to track some of what you're thinking as we move throughout this process towards the midterms. And next time we come back, Brooke, we'll start with you. Thank you very much to all three of you.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.